You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Yo, I wore my favorite Mets shirt because it's the start of baseball season today, and I know it's just like a lot of just kind of people reporting to camps and whatnot. But in case you didn't know, my Mets and Uncle Stevie, we were gonna have a division on lockdown. Are you busy? Are you texting? What are you doing, Mike? We're on a big show here, and
I'm running our social media, Rob. Come
is
on.
that what you're doing? I was just like, yo, man, I've got to talk here. You're not even looking. Come on,
I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm trying to run our social media empire, son. Sorry.
I was gonna say, oh yeah, empire, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's baseball season's reporting. I got my shirt, Uncle Stevie. But you know what? It's not baseball talk. There's a lot of bowling going on. We're in a what is it? The final, I guess, countdown for the big PBA Players Championship this weekend. So
yo, F baseball. It's about bowling right now, son. Okay, I don't want to hear no bowling, no baseball talk. You can wear your baseball T-shirt if you want. You Mets fans always have such optimism that turns out to be nothing but empty hope. But nonetheless, yeah, Rob, it is bowling season, and it's major season. Okay, and this week particularly is a big one. Okay,
yeah, they threw a bunch. I mean, are there going to be any majors left after like April? I feel like they just kind of like are throwing every major at us in like 3 months, and then.
Well, I think, you consider the pandemic, right? You consider the fact that if you're going to get a better part of the season in, I think you definitely want to try and get those major events in, those major tournaments, including the World Series, the Tournament of Champions, the Players, et cetera, that we're going to see this weekend. But I honestly, Rob, I don't really have a problem with it. I think it's pretty good. I think following up right after football season ends with some really good, strong top prize type bowling events is a unique marketing opportunity for the PBA. So I would have loved to have seen more cross promotion, I guess you could say, on some of the other Fox things that I've been watching lately. But listen, there's not many big sporting events on this weekend from what have looked at or what I understand. So I think bowling kind of has a chance to be in the spotlight a little bit here. And listen, Rob, it's $250,000 for first. So what more could you ask for in terms of trying to create great competition through giving out a large prize?
This is a good Sunday for them because there's not really a whole lot of sports right now. So it actually fell on a good day for them. There's usually some football or something going on, and it's on Big Fox too Sundays. So dude, this is as big as it gets, really. Like there's nothing going on where it's just like, oh, well, normally there's something crazy going on that Sunday, but fell on a good day, man. So we're excited, man. We're going to be doing some live commentary too, which is kind of fun.
We are. So also, Rob, don't forget, you have the position round, right?
Oh, yeah, Saturday.
Position round on Saturday at 4:00 on Flow Bowling, okay? So that's going to be awesome. That's going to be a huge – I mean, to me, that's as big – as the finals itself. Okay. I said on Twitter, I really wish that portion was going to be on live TV, but I'll take Flow Bowling. Obviously we subscribe, so I'll be checking it out. That's appointment viewing for me on Saturday. Then you have the finals, 12:30 Eastern on Sunday. Okay. So great weekend if you're a bowling fan, right? And Rob, we're Sweep the Rack, homie. We've been doing this for quite a while now. I think we're on
veterans.
2 years or 3 years. I don't even know. I've lost track, right? So, and listen, anytime that there's a big event like this, we know what the people want. The people want to hear from some of the players involved in the event. So, Rob, as we do, you and I went into the lab and talked about what we wanted to do. And, we've had several times some of the players that are on the show, but there were a few guys that we haven't had at all. and we decided that we wanted to welcome them on before the show this weekend, and get a chance for the fans to interact with them a little bit before they appear on this big show.
I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit nervous about the first guest.
Well, you're nervous, Rob. Let's talk about that. You're nervous because, a couple weeks ago you talked a bunch of shit, and you called our first guest the most boring man in bowling. You expressed how frustrated you were by even having to watch his performance. Now, me on the other hand,
no. I didn't talk anything about his bowling. I didn't talk anything about his bowling.
That you were frustrated. You had to watch, the lack of enthusiasm. Okay. So, me on the other hand, Rob, I got it. Okay. The man is an international assassin. All right. Let's be clear about it. Okay. International assassins, they don't call attention to themselves. They go, they take care of business, and they leave very quietly. It's as if they were never even there. And I get it. I understand it. So Rob, we're bringing on the 2-time U.S. Open champion, only person to shoot 300 on a U.S. Open show. He's going to be on the show this weekend. Bowl for a chance, bowling for $250,000. We're welcoming him on to Sweep the Rack for the first time. It shows what a good guy he is just by the fact that you talked a bunch of shit and he still came on the show. So, Frankie, welcome, and welcome to Sweep the Rack, man.
Oh, wait. I'm not getting any audio.
Yeah, me either.
Hold on, Frankie. You got your audio on? Are you on mute?
How's that?
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Welcome.
All right. What's going on, boys? How you doing?
We are doing well. I'm ready to take my beating, Frankie. But you know what? Look, I own up to all the stuff I say on this show, and I'm an honest man, and I'm emotional. So, hey, we're really. It's awesome of you to come on the show, and it's just kind of talk about the players. But Mike, where do you want to go first? You want to give him his chance to give me my beating, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, no, sure. I would say, like I said, hey, I get it. International assassin. The man shows up. He does the job. He leaves quietly. He doesn't attract attention. Frankie, explain. Explain to this guy.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I actually didn't see the show until the next morning when I was on the Beef and Barnsey show, and they played the clip where you were talking all that shit. And listen, if I'm being honest, you're not wrong. I get it. I totally understand it. I did like how you were laughing when Mike was introducing me just now. It's kind of a nervous laugh, isn't it? You were telling me you're a little nervous about what's coming.
I am nervous, Frankie. I'll be honest with you, man.
No, it'll be all right. I actually didn't prepare anything. I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, what do I do? Do I put a bunch of lines together to come on, or do I try to make it as boring as possible to try to tank this show? But no, the only thing I did was just going to wear a hoodie because, your show doesn't seem like the type of show where I need to dress up for.
Not at all. Not at all. We keep it relaxed around here.
He could have wore a suit on the show.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Personally, I know you're traveling right now. I know that you actually traveled to Florida already. But personally, I would have showed up with the U.S. Open trophy, both of them. And that would have been my flex on Rob. I just would have said, hey, here's my 2 U.S. Open trophies. But, Rob.
It's a big flex, too.
Yeah, it is. Rob brought up the suit, right? And we wanted to talk to you about your intro for the PBA playoffs, right? All the players had intros. You guys recorded them. Yours was the true or false, Frankie? Yours was the dopest intro.
I think so. I really liked it. I liked what they did with it.
Rob, I agree. You agree?
I liked his intro. He should have bowled in the suit, though. Honestly,
could have thrown a shot.
That would have been a huge flex, though. If you would have bowled in the suit and won the tournament in a suit, that would have been the first time and probably last time ever in PBA history that anybody's ever bowled in a suit. So I don't know. Me personally.
Yeah, I'd need a stretch fit on that suit. I don't think the backswing would be too nice on the seam.
Listen, I mean, it was looking fresh though. I'm not gonna lie. I was looking for like what gave you the idea or the inspiration to go with the suit? Because obviously everybody else went with their regular bowling wear. Why'd you go in that direction?
Yeah, so it wasn't all my idea. It was actually the girls at the PBA, like Coley and the other girls. They were like, we need to find you a persona. Like we're trying to give everybody some kind of like something interesting about him. Like Buttriff had the casino, like the Vegas type, the casino stuff. And I was like, man, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't really know. And they're like, well, like I like to wear nice clothes. I like, all that stuff. And they're like, boom, we'll just get you in a suit, and we'll do this this kind of like business like. You don't say much. You just show up, you do your work, and you go home and you just destroy everybody. That was kind of the idea behind it. So I was like, yeah, I'm totally cool with that. Let's run with it.
See, that shows you that I get it and Rob doesn't. Okay, people. All right, just so we're clear. All right, clearly, like I got it. Yeah, no, listen, good idea on their part. You say that you're into good clothes. How much is your most expensive suit that you own?
I mean, I say good clothes. I'm still a bowler, right? Like I don't. I haven't won the 250,000 yet.
So we get it. Okay. Let's talk about the 250K then, Mike.
Let's do it.
So my question would be: I mean, have you thought about like where are you going to spend the money if you win or even finish in like second? I mean, that's still big money. Like, have you kind of got any thoughts on? Are you going to go out to the strip bar that night? Are you going to get drunk? Is Frankie going to come out? I mean,
yeah. Francois is going to earn the money, and Frankie's going to spend the money. That's how it's going to go. There's two different people there. Yeah, I mean, there's one boring answer to that, and that answer is I bought a house last year, so probably a lot of that money is going to go towards that house, trying to pay that off. But then the other side of it, it's not going to be all of it spent on the house. There's definitely going to be some money kind of put aside to do some sort of frivolous purchases, some ridiculous stuff. I still haven't really thought about it, but yeah, there's going to be some partying going on when everybody's kind of allowed to get back together.
Mike, so let's put it like this: Francois is going to make the money. Frankie's going to go home, shotgun a beer, smoke a J, sit there.
No. But listen, you bring up the idea that celebrations might need to be delayed. In fact, I still have a celebration that I have to get together with Bill O'Neill on from the playoff win for $100,000 when he won the WWE belt. We still haven't been able to get together and properly celebrate that win. So I feel you on that for sure. Obviously whoever wins this tournament on Sunday might need to delay some of their celebrations for some time. You say you bought a house. Where at, Frankie? Where are you living these days?
I'm in Wichita, man. I went to Wichita State, obviously, and I stayed here afterwards. Just rented an apartment for a few years. Didn't really know where I was going to end up, what I was going to do, and this just seems like a good place for me. It's a little small for what I like. I'm used to a little bit more hustle and bustle. But I mean, as far as bowling goes, as long as I'm bowling, I think I'm going to be in Wichita. It's just a good bowling town. It's easy. It's centralized in the country, easy to travel to wherever I need to go. So,
you kind of answered my next question there. I was going to ask, like, I see that a lot of the guys who went to Wichita, they tend to gravitate back towards there. And I was going to ask, like, what's the draw back to that area? I mean, I just don't envision Wichita being like a real popular, there's so many reasons to live there, but I guess from the bowler's perspective, clearly,
as far as bowling goes, I mean, it just makes sense. Like if it wasn't for bowling, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd go back home. But I mean, just like the practice facility, I still have access to that. I still bowl on campus. There's a lot of people here that can help me if I need to. When bowling is concerned, this is so far at least the best place for me.
Rob, that's got to be sick to be a student bowler at Wichita State and show up to practice at the student center, and two-time U.S. Open champ, only person to shoot 300 on the U.S. Open show is there chilling practicing. It's got to be great.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of reminds me. A couple years ago, I went back to homecoming at Saginaw Valley with Bill, and we ended up we ran into a lot of the bowlers on the team, and they came running over to Bill with like complete fanboys with like getting his autograph, pictures, social media, like all kinds of like stuff, like really made him feel like a celebrity. Like, so that's what I would imagine that would be like if I was bowling in Wichita. And then Frankie walked in, and then Chris Barnes walks in, and then all the like alumni that they have walk in. Rash, right? Like I'm sitting there going, "Wow, I definitely picked the right school to bowl for." That's for sure.
Yeah, true, right?
Yeah,
So
I'd skip over you, Rob. Though I wouldn't give you a picture or an autograph. No way. After what you said, there's not a chance.
Ain't happening.
No, man, I would have to get someone else to get the picture for me. I Photoshop my face on the selfie or something.
Yeah.
Let's talk bowling this weekend, right? Because that's really what we're here for. Huge event. Like we are totally in tune with this event. I mean, for us as bowling fans, this is really as good as it gets. A huge lead up to this final five. You got the position round on Saturday. You have the finals on Sunday. First thing we wanted to ask is we want to clarify here because Rob and I were having an argument off the air before we came on. Are you guys bowling on the same pattern as these previous shows, or is it a different pattern for this show?
I'm
90% sure it's the same pattern.
Okay. All right. I had heard.
One.
Yeah, someone. I'm gonna have to roast the person who gave me that bad information, but somebody told me that perhaps it was a different pattern. Okay, all right. That's
a whole whole different line of questioning.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, Rob, like that tells us a lot, right? Okay, so all right. So Frankie, our question then would be this: you're looking at the position round on Saturday because it's kind of tough to look forward to Sunday because you don't know where you're going to be in the step ladder yet. So depending on whether you're fifth or you're first, that we all understand that that's a vastly different outlook, right, for the player. So going into the position round on Saturday, there's going to be 5 guys bowling on the same pair, 3 games. Any strategy that you can discuss with us? Like, do you have any strategy that you're thinking about or that, you may employ based on the guys that you're going to be bowling on this pair with? Anything going through your head about that?
Nothing too specific at this point. I mean, we're going to get a little practice on the pair beforehand. I know a lot of the guys on the show can do anything they need to do on the lanes. So it's hard to say, like, are we going to play straight? Are we going to hook them? I played them straight on the show on my show a couple weeks ago. Dick Allen likes to play straight. He actually hooked it on his show. Simonson threw it hard and straight. So, all the guys on the show can do both if they need to. So at this point, it's really hard to say, like, I mean, I'd prefer if I was able to go straight, but if I need to get in and hook it, I can do that too. It's just going to be a matter of finding the right ball because I don't think the pattern is going to be all that difficult. If it plays anything like it was on all the shows, it's not going to be that difficult. So it's really going to be about finding the right ball and being in the right part of the lane. And I think keeping up with the transition is going to be the biggest thing. Instead of, leaving that 4-pin or going through the face, if you're in the guy who's going to end up as the number 1 seed, I have a feeling is going to be the one who's kept up with transition the best.
So I have a follow-up question to that. Okay, so it's going to be a lot different in transition, right? Because you're going to have 5 on 1 pair, and it's going to be 10 minutes, whatever amount of practice you get. There's going to be still some kind of lighting, I'd imagine, flow bowling, but it's not going to be like TV lighting. So the transitions are going to be a lot quicker, I'd imagine. And I don't think there's going to be really anybody throwing urethane, I would imagine, like two-handed urethane or anything like that. So you think the transition is going to, I mean, when you see that transition happening, is that going to be somewhere in, like, by the end of the first game? You think it's going to be, or I'm just kind of, have you kind of thought about that yet? Or are you not even thinking about that until you get there and you practice?
Yeah. I think it's hard to say. Like I said, depending on what other people do, I don't anticipate seeing any urethane, but it's never out of the question. Especially nowadays, it seems like whatever the pattern is, urethane's in play. They're so strong now. So yeah, I mean, it could be after the first game. It could also be the type of transition where you just kind of follow it left a little bit at a time. or it could be that like a game and a half in, you just have to jump left. It's just kind of hard to say at this point without knowing what everybody else is doing and actually being on the lanes.
Gotcha. I'm not sure if Mike is having technical difficulties. So, Mike, are you there? Can you hear me? Oh, you're there.
Do you expect?
Okay, so Mike fell off. I'm sure he'll come back on. Frankie, so you get all me. Isn't that isn't that amazing?
I can see you sweating over there.
I know. I've sweated a little bit. I swear. I always sweat though. So you got 5 on a pair now, and would you say that this is the biggest 3 games like ever to be thrown on TV or flow bowling? Would you say, like, because I mean it's a huge deal. Yeah. What you guys have in store? I mean the money gap is just itself is a huge from 5th to 1st.
Right.
So what do you? I mean, would you say this was probably the biggest 3 games of your career?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, for me, regardless of what happens, this is going to be, and it's kind of weird to say with the 2 U.S. Opens, but regardless of what happens, this is going to be my biggest paycheck from one single tournament. Whether I finish 5th or whether I win, obviously, but and I think that's the case for a lot of the guys on the show. I think Smallwood's bowled for a lot of money, and Kyle was in that Bolero Elite Series final thing that was for a lot of money too. But even for Simonson, I mean, he's bowled for 100. He hasn't bowled for 250. So yeah, it's a huge seeding round. The money difference there, you can guarantee yourself an extra 80 grand, I think, if you're the top seed versus if you're 4th or 5th. So yeah, it's gonna be really tense. It's gonna be really interesting. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of. It's going to come down to the end. 3 games is a lot better than 1, but it's still very short. So there's going to be some good drama. You can anticipate some extremely enthusiastic reactions out of me for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So make a prediction. What series takes top seed?
For 3 games, man, it could be. I'm gonna say like 750.
Wow.
I think that if they play the same they did during all the other shows, and somebody gets in that groove where they just kind of get lined up, and it could be that high. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So, how's that mental preparation, knowing that if you have a bad game of just carry, right? Like, because it seems like the shows have been a pretty good carry contest, right? And a couple flat 10s, a stone 8, right? We saw happen, last show. You leave 1 or 2 of those and you might be behind the 8 ball. So how do you, I mean, is that something, being a 2-time US Open champion, right? Like you want to bowl on the grind. I know you want to bowl on the grind, right? So
right.
How is that a mental, how are you preparing yourself going from bowling a US Open TV final to a show now where if you miss or you don't carry once or twice in the game, you might be behind the 8 ball?
Yeah, I mean, for me, as far as mental preparation goes, I'm just kind of expecting that I'm gonna need a lot of strikes. And granted, it's probably not my favorite thing. It's probably, like you said, it's probably not what I'd rather bowl on. I can still do it. I mean, the scores in our region in qualifying were on the 4 different patterns were the highest of everyone in the country, and qualified first ahead of the two-handed lefties. I've bowled well when they were high scoring before, even though it's not necessarily my favorite thing to do. The good news about the seeding round though is it's not the end of it all, right? So even if I do have one of those games that you just you're just not carrying and you shoot 220 or whatever, even 200, you just kind of go Dutch. It's not the end of it. You still have the TV show on the next day, and anything can happen on the TV show. So the seeding round, I think, is really important as far as guaranteeing yourself the money, but it's not the end of it. So I actually don't put too much importance on it right now, at least mentally.
Cool. Mike, you back? Are you there?
Yeah,
Can we hear you? Cool. Okay. Yeah. So I guess my last question would be about equipment wise. Like I've always wondered this, right? You're going back and forth, right, to Florida to Wichita. Probably, I'd imagine you probably, maybe doing bowling some other like. How much equipment are you gonna have to like bring with you? Like, do you bring it on the plane? You left it there? Are you drilling balls when you get there? I've always wondered that because traveling with bowling balls sucks. Nobody ever wants to do it. So how's your equipment getting like handled?
Yeah, for this trip, it's not really all that difficult. The tricky one was right after the qualifying for those TV shows. We qualified. I don't remember the dates, but as soon as we got done qualifying, and the 5 guys who made the show, I didn't even know the schedule for the tournament, first of all. So as soon as we qualified, I found out right then and there that we bowled in Florida the next weekend because they were taping the first show was live and they were taping the rest. So I found out just after I made the top 5 that I was bowling in Florida that next weekend. So it's Sunday at like 8 p.m. And now I've got to scramble to try to figure out how to get 24 balls that I had with me to Florida because we're bowling on a different pattern, lane surface. I've never been to that bowling center. So that was the big scramble was right after that qualifying portion when I had to find a way to send all my stuff to Florida. So I shipped a bunch. I think I shipped about 16 balls from Dallas to Jupiter. And then after the show, I just left a bunch of them there. I left some on the truck on transport. I left some with Sean Ryan, who's in Orlando. And I brought back a couple with me, and I'm going to bring 9 with me on the plane. So, all in all, I should have I don't know 24 to 27 balls or something there with me.
Holy shit!
And it sounds a lot it sounds a lot, right? But right after that, we go right into the TOC. So I just wanted to have all my equipment there already because I knew I wasn't going to come back with enough time to get all the stuff. So. Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of balls, but thinking ahead, we've got the TOC right after in the World Series and all that stuff.
So, Frankie, like I said, it's going to be a huge event on Sunday for all of us. We're very excited to watch. Rob and I are doing live commentary, etc. So take us behind the scenes a little bit and tell us what your routine is going to be on Sunday. You wake up, it's the day of the show. What's your routine going to be like from the time you wake up till the time you hit the lanes to bowl?
Yeah. Normally, I don't even know what time's the show. I think it's middle of the day, right? Noon.
12:30.
12:30. Right. So just hearing that, I like that a little bit better. A lot of times, in the past when I've bowled the U.S. Open shows, they've been in the evening. So you wake up and you've got all day to just kind of think. You're just sitting there just thinking about the show. You don't really want to do too much because you still want to get ready. You want to keep your energy and all that for the show. High energy guys like me,
Dude, all that craziness all day, you got to control it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the TV sets are too small, man. If they gave me like 4 pairs to play with, I'd be running around. I was thinking about doing a backflip last time, but the ceiling was a little low in that bowling center.
Yo, let me just promise me one thing. If you win, like when you're like, you gotta give me something, man. The last shot you throw, and you need a strike to win, man, and you get it, and you win by a pin. You gotta give me something, Frankie. Give me something.
Right. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. I'll give you something. I'll give you something. It's not something you plan out ahead of time because that never works out. If you plan it out ahead of time, you're gonna throw a terrible shot. So
yeah, it's true.
It has to come organically, but I'll give you something. Maybe a backflip off the ball return or something.
Yes. Yeah, I'll tell you. Start doing a pose down, like
right.
And then just.
Yeah, I honestly, I asked that question about his routine because I was thinking to myself, I wouldn't be surprised if he tells us like, I wake up and the morning before a show, I go cage fighting and I get some cage fighting in, and then I go and I wrestle some alligators down at this alligator farm in Florida. I have a connection there. And then I show up and I bowl the show because then I would understand being so cool and calm when you're bowling for the kind of shit you guys are bowling for when you are that cool and calm. Right. So I kind of get it then. But all right, no, that's cool, man. Listen, the
routine is not going to be too crazy. I'm just going to have probably end up having a late breakfast since we're at 12:30. go to the bowl. They always want us there a couple hours before the show anyway. So I'll just be at the bowl and I'll be doing my own thing, kind of warming up slowly. And yeah, depending on what seat I'm on, I mean, I could be on at 12:30, but I could have to wait until like 2 or 2:30 or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of gonna depend on whether I'm first, fifth, third, wherever in the lineup. But probably just nothing crazy, man. Just some breakfast, listening to some like death metal, paint my face or something like. Cover my hand over a candle or something, like some psycho stuff.
Dude.
No, nothing crazy.
That's awesome, man. He's gonna be doing some like satanic ritual in his room or something like that, you know?
Right.
Well, I mean, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these guys do some ritualistic or common routines that make them feel better about the zone that they get in before they go and bowl for this kind of money or an event this big. Like, that's why I ask. I'm sure some guys, it's like, I just go about my normal routine, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are other guys who have a little bit more to it. So,
there's definitely, I mean, there's some things I do all the time that are just small things. Like, am I superstitious? No, but am I going to wear the same jersey that I won the last show in? Yeah, probably, because it's still the same tournament to me. So, little things like that. It's not necessarily, I wouldn't call myself necessarily superstitious, but like there's just some things that I kind of do all the time.
Okay. All right. So listen, on Sunday morning, I can tell you what we'll be doing. We'll be getting ready to watch the show. I'll definitely be hyped up. You guys are bowling for the biggest prize in PBA history. This is really a historic show, a historic weekend for bowling. It's awesome that you're going to get to be a part of it. We wish you luck, man. We want to thank you for the time tonight and coming on. It was nice to have you on the show for the first time. Before you go, give us your sponsors, man. Who we know you're with Storm, obviously, but who else is supporting you out there?
Yeah, Storm, Turbo Grips, Buddies Pro Shop, and just recently this year, Cool Wick.
Okay. All right. So you guys heard that. Those are the companies that are supporting Frankie. Go support those companies as well. They make it possible for these guys to do what they do out there. Listen, man, good luck.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Frankie,
it. I was expecting a little more, a little different questions. We had a lot of serious bowling questions. I was expecting a little more.
I don't know what you heard from
last
other
time,
people.
but that's all right. Maybe next time.
You're bowling for $250,000. Like, we want to talk about the big event, but yes, listen. Anytime you want to come back and chop it up with us and keep it a little more light, you're more than welcome, man. We'd love to have you. And but like I said, you guys are bowling for $250,000. All the fans. That's what we care about now.
I get it. You have a job to do. You guys are professionals.
Yeah, no, Frankie. See, Mike, was a big. Mike was thinking of a lot of the questions. Me, I would have been asking more of like what you would have done if you won all the money. If you're gonna go out and like hook up with women. Like that's that's kind of where my question would be. Mike likes to ask the serious bowling questions. I like to ask like the kind of out there crazy questions. So next time you're on. Hopefully you give me something, Frankie. I don't want to come on next Wednesday and, talk any more shit, man. Frankie's a good dude, man.
You don't have
on the show, man. Anyway, we appreciate it. Seriously, thanks for being a good sport, man. Honestly, like, really good luck, honestly, this weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Safe
I appreciate it.
Good bowling, and we'll be watching, man.
Thanks.
So, Rob, he went easy on you, Rob.
Yo, he did go easy on me. I mean, look, like I was just honest last week, but Frankie, look, man, now you get a chance to talk to him and just kind of hang out a little bit with him. Dude, my man's funny, man. He's got, a good sense of humor, and he's, definitely all business on the shows, right? So like you said, sometimes, you're bowling for that much money. That's the reason why he's on the show and I'm not, because if I was on the show, I'd be kicking ball returns. I'd be cursing. I'd be doing all kinds of shit. I mean, I'm shocked we still have a podcast. 2 years we've been doing this, that we haven't been banned from the internet, trying to keep it cool here. But, the next, our next guest, Mike, is going to be a little bit more friendly towards me, because I have a history with our next guest coming on. Smallwood has beat the shit out of me all across the country of the United States. He's beat me in Michigan. He's beat me in Vegas. I think he's beat me somewhere, probably in California. I probably bowled him. But yeah, so great, great interview with Frankie. Hopefully we can get him back on, and then we can do a really long format. I'd like to get into his like past and his history of like, how he grew up bowling and how he got as good as he was or is, I mean.
True, absolutely. I'd love the opportunity to have him back on as well. I mean, hate on me if you want, but yeah, listen, these guys are bowling for the biggest prize in PBA history this weekend, and I'm super excited about this event. I'm kind of planning my weekend around it to a certain degree, and yeah, I really want to talk about this event and what their thoughts are going into it.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's probably the biggest show. But anyway, we don't want to keep the people waiting. I want to bring on Mr. Tom Smallwood. Our man from Saginaw, Michigan, representing Monitor Lanes, the man himself, Freddie for the cheddar, yeah. Tom Smallwood. What's up, Smallwood? How's it going, man?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Good.
Dude, let me tell you about Smallwood, right? Real quick story. So Smallwood, he was Freddie for the cheddar before he was even on PBA tour. My man, anytime he needed a strike in the amateurs, anytime, dude. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. Who was the guy that I said we had this conversation 6 months ago? If I had to pick one PBA Tour pro to throw a strike for $1 million or $10 million, who would it be? Mike, who did I pick?
You picked Tom Smallwood.
I picked Tom Smallwood because Tom Smallwood's ready for the cheddar. My man aced it every time he needed it against me. Anytime I knew it.
You don't watch me near enough, apparently. I've gagged it off more times than most, but I appreciate that very much.
Dude, my guy Smallwood, man. I'm glad to have you on, dude. So man, let's talk, man. How's things going, dude? What's on your agenda this week? Where are you at right now, or have you made it out to Florida yet, or what's happening?
No, at home. I've been home for the last few weeks since we bowled there down in Florida 2 weeks ago. Been home here with the kids, bowled a few tiny things around here, and then kind of a lockdown because that whole situation we have with Bill, that's your worst nightmare. So haven't really done much. Been hanging out at home, and I fly out tomorrow morning to head to Florida. So that's about it.
Dude, Smallwood quarantined himself. That's probably the smart. Dude, if I was bowling for $250K, I'd be in my room. I wouldn't be going near anybody, man. You know what though? We had this conversation actually a couple of weeks ago when that whole Bill situation happened. Like God forbid, what would happen if one of the 5 players did test positive, like tonight or Saturday? What would they do? Would the next man be up? Would they, like, kind of how they did with Bill? Like I kind of would hate to see what the PBA would have to do with that, right?
Yeah, we don't know. There was never a protocol for that, so I would assume whoever Zach that I beat would be in. I would assume. I guess I don't know how else you do it.
I don't know, right?
You're gonna lose $30-some thousand by that testing positive. That's the problem, and a chance to win $250,000.
I know.
Like, how do you? But yeah, so I have kids and they go to school every day, and like that's the scariest part. They go to school every day, so I'm not gonna not be around my kids. It's just not possible. So, so I've been kind of quarantining myself as much as possible. Bowling early in the morning when either center's not open at all or there's no one there. And but for the last like week and a half, I've been doing that. So hopefully it works. Hopefully nothing's bad happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely. What was I going to say? No, I said we definitely. Hopefully nothing happens to you. So we want to see you on the show.
This is such a shit show. How do you stop it? I mean, you can't. But head there tomorrow, and hopefully everything's healthy. And I mean, I don't think we're getting tested. If we are, that's fine. But not quite like USBC, Masters and US Open now. But we're testing it 74 times in 3 days.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that. They must have been listening to our show when Bill tested positive. That's what Mike said on Twitter, because it's true, because we hammered the PBA for what happened with Bill and the testing and, Bill testing positive. I mean, we really gave it to the PBA, and I think well-deservingly, honestly. Like, I think they deserved it, but, we don't want to get into that. We want to talk about
Right.
you, and we want to talk about your, like preparation and what's going on here. So, Mike, I guess you want to start. Mike has a whole bunch of questions. He's, usually the one.
I guess an appropriate place to start to me is, and again, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on for the first time. But an appropriate place to start to me, the first thing I wanted to ask you about is your recent switch to Motive. And I guess the question to ask is, in your eyes, does that have anything to do with this kind of resurgence? I mean, this is a huge event. You find yourself in the finals, back with a shot at huge money. How much does that ball switch have to do with it?
I think a lot, honestly. I've never been a guy that felt like I had to prove anything to anybody. I bowl for a living. I bowl to make money, and I have a family, so that's what I do. It was a switch I felt I should have done a few years earlier. Just the way stuff felt, and where I was at, I felt like I should have. And there's a lot of guys there I loved, so it's hard to make a switch with people you really care about. And I've never had a better line of bowling balls in my entire career. I've been out here for 12 years now, I think. And I was hesitant to do it because I haven't thrown 800 bowling balls in 12, 13 years. So you never really knew what you were gonna do, and the time just kind of happened. The timing was right, and I kind of switched over without even throwing other stuff really much at all. And I couldn't be happier. It was the best decision I've ever made in bowling, for sure.
It's too bad it's too bad Motive isn't making any green combat zones. Because let me tell you, someone who made I think Smallwood made a living with the green combat zone.
That ball is not terrible. That ball is pretty damn good.
Well, listen, if he wins this weekend, I'm sure whatever ball he wins with, it will be the ball that he has won the most money with in bowling.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very, very true.
Right, very true. No doubt about it. So is it fair to say, Tom, that, and I don't know, maybe you'll disagree with me here, is it fair to call you somebody who's not a power player?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not straight guy by any means, but I'm not really a power player. I mean, those guys, the kids now, they strap on it so much. It's crazy. And their ball speed. I mean, I throw it 15 and a half to 16 miles an hour. These kids are throwing it 18 to 20 with zero effort. So, yeah, I wouldn't consider myself a power player.
Okay, so and again, I think that's fair, especially based on like comparisons to more recent players. So my question then is, you're a guy who I watch everything, and I watch bowling very closely, and like you're always in the hunt, man. Whenever there's a big event, whenever they're tough, whenever the money's on the line and things are serious, you seem to be in the hunt. You in recent years, I would say you haven't gotten over the hump all that much in a lot of those events. Now that's changed here. But what has kept you so competitive? Like, we look at a guy like Bill, who's one-handed, used to be considered a power player. Now he really isn't. And we know all the changes and work that have gone into his game to kind of keep him competitive. Have you had to make a lot of those similar changes to your game, or what has it been that has kept you in it?
Yes and no, I guess. It's more lane play, I think, than more as changes. It used to be in far left of everybody else when you started, like 10 years ago. And now you kind of in that middle ground where you can't be further left in Belmont. You can't be further left in a lot of these guys. Simo, I mean, these guys go so far left so fast. And I think it kind of handcuffed me for a few years where I felt like, now what do? I'm used to that guy left of everybody, and now I can't be there because of the fact that when you move left, you're just going in their trash. And I think that's been a big part of it, where it's more of a lane play thing and figuring out what your eyes need to see, more than a whole physical thing. It's more of a comfort zone where you need to be, you can't get that far left as those guys, and you find different things you're good at. And, playing those little spots where, they might 10 left of you, but you're in a little zone where no one else is playing. Kind of like what Dick Allen kind of does a lot. I mean, obviously he plays further right than I do most of the time, but he does that same thing. He he don't jump way left to the power players. He kind of finds a little spot somewhere where you can find a little bit of hold and makes it work.
Smallwood, let's talk about your release, because like you have one of the most like unique releases probably on tour, right? And if you really put it in slow motion, or if you know how your balls are drilled, you're a full roller, right? And if anybody doesn't really know what a full roller is, it's when your track is in between, your fingers and your thumb and it crosses. Now, let's talk about being a full roller and is that an advantage these days? Like, because there really aren't a lot of full rollers on tour, right, these days. So, I mean,
I don't know. Honestly, I think some events maybe they are. When I first started, I felt like there's certain weeks I had way more room than everybody else did. There's certain weeks I felt like I had zero, and everyone else had the nuts. So I'm not really sure if it's the full roller thing, the ball speed thing, the rev rate thing, or whatever it is. But I don't think it hurts me. I mean, I can drill stuff normal and miss a thumb hole. I just don't get as good a ball reaction from it. So I stuck to throwing full roller layouts almost always, and I can control the pocket way better with that, and I don't get the violent reaction, which sometimes you want that, but I think what I'd lose with regular layouts, I gain with full roller layouts for the fact of control.
So would you say that the stronger they making the balls these days, that's an advantage to you because of the fact where you can get the ball to slow down the back of the lane with just the way you throw the ball?
Yeah, especially the balls. The quicker the balls get, I think the way I throw it and the layout I use controls the back of the lane better than most.
Okay,
that's why he used to beat the shit out of me all the time, Mike. I could never get my ball to like either stop hooking or not hook. Smallwood, that one match we bowled, forget it. I want to kill him. Yeah.
I'll be honest, like I've said a lot of disrespectful shit on this show over the couple of years we've been doing it, so I might as I don't hesitate. But first saw Tom Smallwood bowl at Carolier Lanes on a New Year's Day marathon, and it was probably like early 2000s, I would say, maybe like 2000, 2001, something like that, and I was probably like 3 pairs away from you. And obviously you're like sizing everybody up in practice, right? You're looking around like, yeah, who's the big dog over here? And I looked at, I'm like, what the hell's this guy doing? I mean, what kind of shit is this over here? By the end of the day, I was licking my fingers and I was doing my forearm and I was putting it on my forearm and trying to throw it that way. So yeah, that's how that went. So I understand where you're coming from there, Rob, for sure.
Dude, it's when you go to the school of Dan Dorian, man. You can make things happen on the back of the lane, and you bowl in Zion, and all that comes with it.
Rob, I feel like Tom was born in the wrong era, and okay. I say that because like with what I just said. I mean, listen. Again, I'm not trying to be wild disrespectful, but like out of all the guys on the PBA tour, if you look at like, perfect games or, fundamental, this and that, like your name isn't going to be in the top of that discussion, right? I don't think that's a wild statement.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
So like Rob, could you imagine going to a bowling alley in the 60s or 70s when action was at its height? And there were all these guys who threw it and walking in with a guy like Tom Smallwood and how bad you would have cleaned house. I mean, wild to even think about that. So can we talk a little bit about this weekend, right? This is it, man. We were just talking to Francois Lavoie. To us, Tom, we're bowling fans. We're bowlers, but we're bowling fans. I consider myself a bowling fan. And this is a huge weekend for bowling fans, right? You got the position round on Saturday on Flow. You got the finals on Sunday. So I want to hear a little bit about what your thoughts are going into this weekend. The scoring pace has been really high, right, on these shows. Everybody has taken note of that. You guys are bowling on the same pattern this weekend for these final shows. Thoughts on that? I mean, are you expecting another score fest here, or do you think things have a possibility to play out differently?
I think on Sunday, yeah. I think on Saturday they might slow down because we're gonna have 15 games on them. I think that's the only thing that would slow them down. I think they're gonna strike a ton start. Then you might see a little bit in the middle to end of second game to slow down a little bit. That's the only reason I don't think like 780 or 790 is going to lead it. I mean, it could very easily, but I'm thinking 750 or 760 could be high. Which if you're looking at the scores on the shows, that's not a lot. I mean, it's a lot for anywhere you bowl. It's a lot, but from the scores that were on there, I mean, it's not a ton. So I think Sunday you'll see the scores again pretty high, but I think Saturday you might see them transition way more with 15 games, 3 guys. And if a guy isn't striking, he's going to try something different, and he's not just move 2 boards. He's going to move his zone and try to screw the whole lane up. Which, I mean, if I shoot 204 the first game, I hope no one else shoots 220 the rest of the day because
Smallwood's
go backwards.
Smallwood's going to have a 500 grid in his bag. Dude, do it. Move like 2 arrows left in the middle there. If you shoot 2-0 the first game, oh, would that be the greatest? Smallwood, please, God, do that.
I'm just saying. I mean, like if you shoot nothing the first game, you're not going to shoot 570 last 2 to catch up. You need to bring scores down. So I mean,
I love it.
I don't see that happening, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we're bowling for a lot of money. Sorry, none of those guys make my house payments. Only I do. So what do you do?
Dude, that's why he's ready for the chatter, Mike.
That's it.
My man's going to bust out the 500 grid when he bowls. He ain't bowling 2-0 the first game, so I know he's not going to do that. But, I mean, look, listen,
I love what he says about the strategy of making big changes if things aren't going your way, right? I think that's a very important point for fans that want to have something to look at going into that position round while we're watching it, right? So if a player comes out slow, we'll watch for that big change. I think that's a great point because you're going to leave it all out there, right? I mean, this is like, those first 2 spots are everything. Those first 2 spots are everything. So, like, you're going to leave it all out there trying to get one of those first 2 spots, regardless of what it is. I mean, we're talking serious money here, Rob. This is not chump change. This is real money, right? So, obviously, these guys are going to go pedal to the metal for that position round. With all that said, Tom, and I know it's early, obviously, and you guys have to get down there and practice, and there's going to be 5 people in the pair, and it's 3 games, like you mentioned. Do you have any strategy at all that you're thinking about that you can share with us in terms of going into that position round?
I don't have a ton. I mean, everyone kind of played in the same zone, all the shows and everything. So, I mean, there's be no reason we're not in the same zones. It's just a matter of getting a ball that fits the best in your hand and you feel you can strike the most with. And that's what you start with. And then if you need to make changes, you make changes. I only bowled the last game of the step ladder. So I didn't see the transition. I started looking at 24 on the right lane and I think 25 or 26 on the left lane. And obviously I'm not doing that to game 1 of the 3-game set. You'd be looking more like 15, 16, 17, maybe 18 or 19, somewhere there if you're deeper than everybody else. But I mean, I don't know if there's a huge strategy. Usually in that stuff on fresh, you're like, let's try to keep it in play. But I don't think keeping it in play is going to do a whole lot this week. I think you need to strike a lot and figure the ball gets to the pins the right way. And so you're going to hopefully you only have 3 or 4 balls to choose from. Hope you don't have 10 because then you're too far behind. I mean, you have to have the 1, 2, or 3, and then if they don't work, you're abort. So, but no, I don't have any certain strategy. All depends what everyone else does. And I think I'm assuming that's what everyone else is thinking too. Where if someone decides to come out with 320 grit and burn a hole somewhere, you adjust accordingly. But I don't see anyone kind of doing that, and I don't see anyone doing that on the show either. It's the fact that, I mean, honestly, whoever makes the final show, if they're dead walled, 300 still pays a pretty decent amount. I mean, why would you mess that up? I mean, we're all good league bowlers, so just kind of do what you got to do and try to get to that final match.
Okay. Take us behind the scenes on the day of the show, right? Obviously, you said you're leaving for Florida tomorrow. We're all going to wake up excited to watch bowling on Saturday and Sunday, but particularly on Sunday, take the fans but behind the scenes. What is your routine going to be like from the time you wake up till the time you hit the lanes?
I'm always the same. No matter when I bowl during the day, I eat pretty light the whole day, and I get there way early. I love throwing tons and tons of shots before I go on. For me, I work in a tempo that I want. Like I feel the tempo I want for the show. That's what I work on for 2 to 3 hours, and I'll bowl 5 to 15 games before I bowl on a show, and that's what I've always done. I've always liked to do that and get good and loose and get good and comfortable and kind of work on certain things and certain hand positions you want to do just for that show and what you think is going to work.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. You kind of gave the answer to this away, I think, earlier, but plans for the money?
Plans for the money? I have family. I pay off. I pay my house off, pay some stuff off, and that's probably buy some hunting property, some more. It's always a good thing.
Rob, we're going there in a second. Give us a minute.
We got to ask. So we had Bruce Falcon on a couple months ago, and Bruce was talking about a potential, I don't know, under the wraps movie deal that he was trying to make, or making in based on your career and your life on we all know the story about how you kind of were working at GM and that whole thing. And if you guys if you listen into this and you don't know the story, we'll have to have Smallwood on another time to talk about that whole thing. But if you win this weekend, is Sunday you throwing that final shot and you winning and holding the trophy, is that the final scene of your movie and the credits roll, like kind of Rudy, where they pick him up on his shoulders and they carry him off the fields with the music playing? Is that how your final scene of your movie is going to end up?
If I shoot 300, it might be the final scene, because then I can just see you later, but I don't know. No, no, I don't know. This has been going in forever since 09. So we went through a few different producers and stuff, and it seems closer than ever.
Dude, Smallwood wins. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen, man. I can't wait, dude. I cannot wait.
Sick story.
Yeah, that would be incredible. Yo, if you need an extra, like if you need somebody to beat, in the movie, hit me up, because
no, Rob, I mean, shit. If that really happens, we're in the movie, right? Because they'd have to do this scene where he comes
right here, right now,
talks about the movie. So, like,
they're filming right now. We don't even know it.
True. Tom, they mentioned on the shows when you were bowling that you like to hunt. You brought it up here that you would possibly consider buying some hunting land. Give us some info. Like, what do you like to hunt?
I'm a complete whitetail fanatic. I'm out of my mind. Generally there ain't many bowlers that hunt, so it's kind of a weird deal to do. But I've done it my entire life, and that's what I do my off time as much as possible. So I don't mind.
Tom, I'm from the city, bro. Rob's from
right. Yeah.
I'm from Philly. What the hell is a whitetail?
Whitetail deer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, deer.
I knew that, Mike.
I don't know what the hell.
Yeah, right. No.
And what do you hunt with?
I started cheating a few years ago with the crossbow, but it was a bow before that, and a gun very little. But yeah.
Okay, so mostly like bow, crossbow, and arrow. So here's my question: if you gave Rob and I a 1 minute head start, could you kill us with a crossbow shot?
In open field, probably.
Oh, you could definitely kill Mike. You could just shoot it anywhere, and the arrow's probably gonna find them.
I wouldn't get that far. It would be like an 8-foot shot with a
you give him a minute, he's gonna be right in front of you, like 3 steps.
I will be there. I might be standing there smoking, actually.
Dude, I'm gonna be ducking and diving, rolling, finding a tree. He ain't gonna catch me in a minute. I know you. Forget it. You're as good as dead. You'd have an arrow right in your ass.
I love it. Tom, listen. Thank you for coming on, man. We appreciate the time. Safe travels. Good luck this weekend. As a bowling fan, we can't wait to watch this, man. Your odds plus 500, Rob, plus 500 on Tom Smallwood.
I know, but we're not in Colorado, so I can't bet.
I know. We have a little betting corporation for bowling, and you only can bet in Colorado this weekend. I'm in Jersey where it's legal. Rob's in Vegas where it's legal. We can't bet, but if we can get a bet in, Rob, we're probably going to have a sizable bet on Tom Smallwood here. Rob, plus 500. What if he captures the first or second seed? I love that bet plus 500 with Tom Smallwood in the first or second seed. That's amazing.
That is. So if anybody's in the chat in Colorado, man, hit us up. We can get that betted.
Yeah, definitely. Email us. All right, Tom, give a shout to your sponsors, man. Who's supporting you out there?
Oh man, it's Motive, Turbo, and Genesis. Man, they've been great to me. Motive especially. They've taken me under their wing during the pandemic. So shout to them for sure. They gave me a 3-year contract in the middle. They didn't know they're going to have a business in a year or so. So I appreciate that more than anything.
Okay, and you guys heard that here. Those are the companies that are supporting Tom, allowing him to do what he does out there. So you guys go and support those companies as well. Tom, like we said, a pleasure, man. We'd love to have you back sometime to chop it up a little bit longer. But safe travels, good bowling, and we'll be watching this weekend, man.
Yes, Small. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Good luck, dude. Seriously.
Yeah. Great talking to you, Rob. I'll see you guys.
All right, take it easy. All right, Rob. Good stuff, man. I mean, I geek out. You know me. I geek out on bowling stuff like this. So, to be able to get an opportunity to talk to these guys, right before this event, and as they're literally preparing to travel to go to this event, get some of their mindset, hear about some of their preparation, hear about some of their thoughts on strategy and how things might play out. Doesn't get any better than that to me.
I mean, it'll be interesting Saturday, like the seeding round, to see because you got 5 people bowling on the same pair at that ability. That's going to come down to the 9th and 10th frame of the third game. There's no doubt in my mind when you have 5 bowlers at that level who are at the top of their games right now bowling for that much money, it's going to go down. It'll be close. It'll be like my prediction. There'll be like 3 out of the 5 players that'll be within a shot of each other. So,
it's coming down to the third game. There's no question about that. There's no question about
100%.
It's coming down to the third game. I feel strongly about that. I think that Saturday, honestly, to me, Saturday has as much potential as a bowling fan to be a great event to watch as Sunday does. Because even on Saturday, going into the third game with the way the scoring pace has been, I don't really imagine that anybody's going to technically be out of it, at least for the second seed. But so it should be definitely interesting to watch. So there's been a lot of hype around the preliminary show, the position round show on Saturday, I said it it's the biggest position round in PBA history. Some people are pussyfooting around with their wording in terms of the importance of this. I come out and say it. This is the most important position round in PBA history. Okay. With the money involved, the fact that the person who finishes in the top position here, Rob, is going to have the biggest cash of their career. Okay. So that in and of itself is huge here. It cannot be overstated. So I'm really looking forward to it, man. And to get to talk to these guys tonight, as they get ready to bowl this event, is just it's amazing to me.
Yeah, and don't forget I know Richie Allen and Kyle Troop for sure are bowling for their first majors, right? Frankie already has U.S. Open. Smallwood, I believe, has some majors. God, why can't I think of the 5th seed right now? Why is that slipping on the top of my head? Richie Allen, Smallwood, Frankie, Kyle. Who am I missing, Mike? Why can't I think of that?
What, from the top 5?
Hello?
Yeah.
You there?
Simon. It's Simon.
Simonson. Okay. Simonson, yeah. So he has a major. Yeah, your connection's not good.
Okay.
Anyway, so Mike, there was a show on this past Sunday we need to talk about because
keep
there was a
the
show on that was
for a second. Keep the people occupied for a second. I'm gonna log out and log back on. I'll be back in a second.
Okay. Look at this, man. I finally got my own show. I beat Mike out of here, so now we could actually get this thing going. Anyway, so there was a show this past weekend on Sunday, right? For the South region. Are you back already?
Back already, dog.
Oh, I thought it was my connection for a sec.
No, so you know what? Like, I don't know what it was, but like my desktop wasn't running real well, so I switched to my Mac because I wanted to get back into the interview, but I didn't know how the audio was on the Mac with the AirPods. By the way, Lucas not commenting on my AirPods earlier, okay, when he came in and I had those in. So I didn't. How was the audio there, Rob? Was it okay?
It was all right. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is better, you know.
Yeah,
but so I was talking about the South region that I just started to talk. I was like, oh, finally, I got my own show.
Oh, my God. Excited. What a show, bro. What a show.
Yo, so let's talk a little bit real quick about the show, right? So, I mean, it was the Richie Allen show, right? Like,
listen, you know, if you've been paying attention, you know the background, right? So, like, it is what it is. But let me say this. And you might think I'm crazy. People might think I'm crazy for this statement, but I'm serious. I made this note as I watched the show on Sunday. They talked a lot about changes that Dick Allen has made to his game recently. Maybe people are going to think I'm nuts. I think Dick Allen is throwing it more like Pete Weber than anybody I've ever seen before.
Dude, like, it was crazy to watch because I know there's not a lot of fans of the high scores. And there's a lot of people that want to see, you know, tough shots, and other people want to see a lot of strikes. So, I mean, look, like, I kind of watched it just to. I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say here, but I was watching just to watch it, right, for entertainment value, just to see like if it was a good show, right, and what. Even though there was a lot of strikes, they were easy for everybody. Okay. Now, the way Richie Allen was able to get his ball to go through the pins kind of separated himself from winning and losing, but he also did catch some breaks on the way, right? I mean,
listen. Jeff Rickles a few weeks ago or months ago wrote an article that kind of suggested that Bill got lucky in one of his big wins this year. You know, Dick Allen benefited from two of the worst breaks in the history of PBA shows.
Yeah.
Okay. That 7-9 really is like, it's just as bad as Randy Peterson's 8-pin, you know, and the 8-pin in the match before that was huge too. So, like, listen, a lot of these matches come down to who gets a hit and who doesn't. And Rob, especially in the high-scoring environment, right? Everybody knows that. Like, not getting a hit, that 7-9, that was it. That was it, right? That was it. So, like, we all know that, okay? We know what it's like to be in a scoring environment like that and have to keep up with that pace. So, yeah, he benefited from some really, really bad breaks on his opponent's part, but on the other side of that, though, okay, and listen, you know, do I need to remind people that a very well-known pro bowler named Bill O'Neill gave me the title of the Arbiter of Clutch, okay? If you people remember, it was actually the Players' Championship last year where I received that title, and I have to say, crazy clutch performance on his part, regardless of the score, regardless of the scoring pace. Yeah, regardless of the scoring pace, regardless of the bad breaks on his opponent's part, right? When it comes down to it, when it comes down to the 10th frame, none of that matters. You still got to get up and throw the shot for the money, right? And to his credit, every single game that he needed to get up and throw shots, and some of those games, it was 2, 3, 4 frames where he had to get up, and it was must-strike frames. And he came through in all those situations through all those matches, and that's why he finds himself now in the running for the $250,000. No,
anybody who takes away any kind of legitimacy because the scores were high from what Richie Allen did this past weekend needs to just never watch bowling ever again, honestly. Because look, the scores were high for everybody, okay? And going into that last match, I knew he had an advantage because you can't. First off, you're coming off of, what he did, shooting 800 or 790. I don't even know what the exact scores were.
Right.
And then bowling someone who is using urethane, regardless if it's Jesper Svensson or whoever it is, you're gonna have an advantage, right? And look, the urethane came into play. It did, and regardless of what anyone says, if he's throwing a resin ball, does he leave at 7-9? Probably not, but he still bowled 250. Jesper Svensson did, but the way Richie Allen was making his ball go through the pins, separated himself. But let's talk about Christian Azcona, right? Dude, my man, as soon as he switched balls in the third frame, he was lights out, and he's stoned an 8. If he starts with that ball,
listen, at that, okay, yeah, you got it. You hit the nail on the head. Rob, in that scoring environment, when you almost go 2-8-10 and you look confused after your first frame, that's bad. You're in trouble. Okay.
He made a bad decision, and I'm sure he was kicking himself after the show was over. I know he was kicking himself. You have to be kicking yourself because he was so quick to switch to that ball because he knew he was behind the 8 ball going spare his first 2 frames. And he made a ball switch quick, and it was quick enough because he started to strike, and then he stoned that 8, and then as soon as he stoned that 8, my mouth dropped, and it was kind of like, shit, now Richie's going to have to get a bad break. And the way Richie was bowling, forget it. He wasn't going to get any bad breaks.
Listen, Jimmy, the ringing 10 is in the chat saying you can't miss on this pattern. And that's kind of the way it was. A 9 spare on this pattern was a really bad thing.
It was an open. It was an open.
In terms of your chances of winning the match. And if you were going to leave a split and actually open, then pretty much forget about it. You were done. We saw that in the Simonelli match, right? He came out very strong in the beginning and then had a split in the middle of the game off of a what looked to be a subpar shot. So yeah, the scoring pace was crazy. The players on this show were probably the best set of players top to bottom. Rob, you mentioned that you felt Richie had the advantage going into that last match. I got to be honest. How can you feel that way when the previous few shows we saw somebody make a run up the ladder only to hit that transition period and not be able to close the deal, where the guy who's coming in, and those were mostly righties, okay, is able to see the transition and is able to do it. I thought Jesper had the advantage because not only did I think Richie might be dealing, or Dick Allen might be dealing with the transition, but I thought Jesper would not have to deal with the transition. The 7-9, that match was all about the 7-9. Okay, I mean it's.
Oh well, here's the thing: is first off, Richie did have an advantage going into the last match. There's a few reasons why. They said it on the show. Lefties were averaging 217 on that pattern. Okay, now when the righties were averaging 240, if you add Richie Allen's games to it, they probably finished averaging 250 for the few shows. That's a 40 pin advantage right off the bat, even with the transition. And keep in mind too, Richie's a seasoned veteran, man. That guy's been around. They said it on the show. By the way, shout outs to Belmonte. His analysis is spot on. You expect it to be, right? But he looks comfortable on TV, by the way, just talking in front of the camera and being in that role. Anyway, that being said,
well, he should be. He was, by this show, he had done it 5 times in a day or two.
But he was spot on. Richie was able to stay ahead of the moves, right? And you could see his moves where he started compared to where he ended. The thing about Richie that none of the other people were doing that were on the top seeds the previous shows or who were in that position bowling the final match is Richie was able to stand a lot far more left, but he was able to get his ball coming off the pattern just as hard as it was the first game. And Belmonte even said it. That's the hardest thing, or is it Randy said it was the hardest thing for people to do when the lanes transition and you have to jump a zone left and still getting your ball to carry in the same way it was earlier on the fresh, and Richie was able to do that. Now, let's fast forward to this weekend, Mike.
No, hold on. I
Yeah.
have a couple more things I want to touch on here from this particular show.
That Stone A was brutal, by the way.
Oh my God! What do you think? What do you think about like the way that Dick Allen was throwing it? Because like again, I'm gonna go back to what I said. I really feel like he had the Pete Weber trick like going on out there. Am I all way off on that, or is there something to that?
No,
like he was hitting up on the ball, right?
Yeah.
And they talked about that on the show, but not the way he was though, Rob. Like it was a different it was like a different release point of hitting up on it, I would say, that seemed to be creating exactly what you were talking about there in terms of the down lane reaction. So like I don't think it can be overstated that whatever changes, he has made or whatever he has done, it was interesting to see the result of that. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a good little trick he does there at the bottom of the swing. It's some little something that you can't create. It's like almost like a trademark, like Dick, a Dick trademark release where he's able to
he said it's a trademark Dick.
He's able to it's a trademark Dick release. But he's so good at it, and when he gets comfortable, man, it was fun to watch. It really was. I enjoyed watching him.
It was also evident that Dick Allen knows how to make a single pin. Okay,
we had seen veteran, man.
We had seen, but Rob, we had seen an epidemic of missed single pins.
He didn't leave any single pins.
Okay.
He threw one spare a game, Mike.
I know, but I'm saying we've seen an epidemic, and one mistake in any of these games, would have been the difference. Okay.
For sure. I
have to make this observation because I'm a fan and I watch the shows very closely and deeply. Did anybody else take notice of Ryan Simonelli and the changes to his game? And
I did.
He looked good. Yo, he's been in the lab, son.
He looks good, man. The first thing I noticed about his game is his right foot, man. He's able to balance. His right foot was down on the lane earlier, and he was bowling more with his lower half of his left hip. Does that seem like pretty good analysis? The way he was throwing the ball,
I noticed a couple different things from you, but the follow through looked more to the left side. His trademark was the pull across follow through, was it not? Right, that was gone. Now it came out. It came out in a couple shots. Came out in a couple shots. If you saw, but it was pretty much gone. Speed was way down. His speed was way down. He was hooking it more and more angle. So shout to him, man. Clearly he's been in the lab. He retired, but he's been working on his game, right? So I think that says a lot. And Rob, finally, I want to say this, right? And I know that we're doing our first live commentary thing this weekend, right? In tandem with the show and whatnot. So I don't want it to make it seem like I'm just putting this out there because of that. Although, hey, if you don't like the commentary on these shows, come and join us on Sunday. We're going to be doing our own commentary. You can watch the show with us. We're also going to have some special guests coming throughout the day as we watch the show. But Rob Stone is clueless, yo.
Oh, okay? He had some big time mistakes.
Yo, my man, somebody pull my man aside and be like, listen, man, just come on. Do a little bit can I just, okay? He says that at one point in the show, he said that Tom Daugherty and Dick Allen finishing this high in this tournament proves that they still belong. What? It was a regional field. A little bit more than a regional field. I would expect those guys to make that event, okay? He said at one point, what does TV have against this guy when Daugherty misses by an arrow and leaves a plaque 710? Okay? Come on. I mean, it was terrible. It's not what TV has against him. He didn't know in one match, he didn't know that Dick Allen needed a certain count or needed to make a spare to win the match. Okay. I mean, these are like simple things. So yeah, I as I watched the show, I was kind of frustrated at that.
Robert Hamilton in the chat. We had another chasing 300 lure at 995. That's got to stop. And here's my take on Rob Stone. He's okay. Okay, he's decent, right? I don't love him. I don't hate him. He's okay. I deal with him, right? Like, but he needs to stop with the like over the top infomercial shit. You know, he sounds like one of those really over the top WWE announcers that's always trying to like, you know, be really like animated and over the top. And it's just look like I get it when it comes to WWE, but bowling, I don't feel like it's a fit for it. I feel like, not saying he has to be serious and, you know, ABC Wide World of Sports announcers. Like I get you got to have a little bit of fun. But it
doesn't have to be so sticky.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of infomercial. There's too much, a little bit of cheese, and I just, you know, I cringe sometimes, and I don't like that when I'm listening to him. But it is a hard job, and we'll probably find out. Yeah, it does. And Dave Brook in the chat, he's trying to sell me Flex Seal. I know it feels like, right? It feels that way, right? Like, you know, and wait, there's more, you know, like anyway. So
all right, so Rob, go ahead. You want to talk about this weekend?
Let's talk about this weekend because 4 of the top 5 number 1 seeds won 4 of the 5 shows, right? They're bowling in the same pattern in the same place, right? How big is the number 1 seat when you have, you know, a 4 out of 5, 4 to 5 people won in the number 1 seat? Besides the money, right? I'm talking about to win the tournament. To do what Dick Allen did, to climb the ladder on that
it ain't
pattern.
Happening. It ain't happening in
you
this.
Have to have
not
a Bob Learn. You have to have a Bob Learn Erie, Pennsylvania performance, which Dick Allen did, right?
While we're on that for a second, Dick Allen's performance was better than Bob Learn's. I'm going to tell you why.
Bob
Learn had a mulligan. All right, can we get off? Can we get off the Bob Learn Erie, Pennsylvania, guys? He got a mulligan. Yo,
here's a good question.
It's Mike. The only mulligan in the history of PBA shows, from what I'm aware. Like, yeah, come on. If he misses that 10 pin, I don't even think he wins that game. So, Robert, the answer to that is neither.
Well, what's the question?
That's why we're doing our commentary.
Robert Hamilton writes, who would you rather have, Rob Stone, Dave Ryan, or Dave Lamont? How about like none of the above? How about Sweep the Rack podcast, Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time?
Join us, baby.
Personally, I'd rather see Stu Williams in the booth, honestly, with Randy.
I would too. I would love to see Stu and Chris in the booth. Belmo, maybe, the 3 of them. You know, I think that would be a really interesting combination.
Yeah, you know, and if they're looking for a professional announcer, like, I don't know, like, I would maybe Tony Romo.
Yo, Jimmy is saying Bob Learn got lucky with the breaks. I understand, but yo, he got a mulligan. How do you get a mulligan on a PBA show? Like, come on. You know.
Bob Learn got lucky. That's at the Erie Open. Dude, you don't shoot 11-25 for 4 games, and you have to get lucky here and there. Look, Dick Allen tripped the 4. Dick Allen threw a messenger, which he even was surprised. But dude, those are the breaks you need to win a tournament like that. I mean, to win a show, right? Like, he had to get the breaks. The Stone 8, the 7-9. Look, it was Dick Allen's day. Okay, it was his day. There was nobody was going to take it away from him that day. He was getting the breaks. He had to look. He was making the shots. Now, how do you get that out of your head and then bowl this weekend and forget all that? His confidence has got to be glaring right now, Mike. And he's the underdog with the odds. He's like plus 1,300 or plus 1,100.
1,100, yeah, plus 1,100. I saw that. I like those odds. I mean, we talked to Smallwood about his odds. I wouldn't bet on Dick Allen because I'm not going to root for him. But I like those odds though. Could you imagine having Dick Allen a plus 1,100 and he ends up as the 1 or 2 seed? I mean,
yeah. I mean, look. Same pattern. He's got, he's probably going to go there with that same, motive, jackal ball that he threw, or jackal ghost, or whatever it was. He'll probably have 3 or 4 of them. Dude, I like his chances to at least, be in the top, 1 or 2 seeds. I mean, how could you not after him shooting?
Right, so let's talk about it, right?
Okay.
Let's talk predictions for Saturday for this position round.
Okay.
I'll be honest. I see Simo coming out as the top. Right? Like that to me is the most logical. It's the most logical thing to happen because he's the most creative guy in this group of 5. He can do the most different things in this group of 5. He's also like big time, big stage performer. He's always
so is Smallwood. So is Frankie. So I mean, look, like the whole 5.
Not like Simo. No, come on. Don't. No disrespect to our guests tonight. Both great guys, both excellent guests on the show. But come on, Rob. They're not in the big stage category like Anthony Simonson is in. Rob, he's the youngest player to ever win a major. He's the youngest player to ever win 2. Opens. I understand.
You're going to make me defend Frankie after all the shit that he talked earlier? The guy's got 2 U.S. Opens.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Look, I'm telling you what I'm seeing happen. I'm seeing Simo coming out of this 3-game series with 15 games on a pair as the number 1 seed. Okay.
Okay. So that's so you like the number 1 seed, right? For Simo.
I do.
Okay.
I do. Do you have a feeling on in this 15-game position round who comes out as the number 1 seed?
You know what? I'm going with Dick Allen. Honestly.
Okay.
I don't care if he's the underdog. Whoever makes those odds are ridiculous or stupid. And he was my pick to win that region. I was my prediction for him to climb the ladder. He was my only prediction that panned out. I'm riding my horse right now, Mike. Honestly.
Okay.
Like the way his ball looked, the way he was throwing it. How could I not think he's at least guaranteed to shoot over 700 or 720 or 730 on that pattern? Like if he bowls bad.
Let's talk about that. What do you think the number will be to solidify that top seed?
I mean, we asked Frankie and Smallwood that question, and they both said around 750. I think it's going to be higher.
Okay.
I think it's going to be higher. I think it's going to be somewhere in the 770s. You might even see an 800 get popped. Honestly, because they're going to break down better. They said 15 games on that pattern, Mike. They're going to break down probably better because they're going to, unless something happens where, like Smallwood said, where all of a sudden he moves 2 hours left and throws like a 500 grit. If they're all righties, they're all playing in the same part of the lane. They're either going to get easier or they're going to break down, and they're going to get a little bit tricky in the end, the last game. But personally, my numbers. Let's say 769, easy number to remember. That's what I think leads. That's my prediction.
I'm actually going to go the opposite way, and I'm going to say that due to the 15 games that are being bowled, that's a lot of games on one pair. Due to the pace of play, 5 players on a pair, slow pace for these guys. Sure. Due to the nerves involved here, because let's be honest, there's going to be some nerves here. Okay, in this position round, because if you finish 4th or 5th, you got to be feeling like you're squandering your chances at this $250,000. You kind of have to refresh and go back the next day, but you're going to feel that way in part, I would think, right? So I think that the number's actually going to be somewhat lower, and I'm going to look to about 725, I'll go a little higher. I'll say 735. Okay. I could picture about 135 over for 3 with the 15 games. Dave, I agree in the chat. Dave Brooks saying 15 games is a lot. I agree. I think 15 games is a lot as well.
He said it's not a lot.
Is not a lot. It's not a lot. Okay. I think that it is.
With you.
On one pair, I think that it is, especially.
Look, I bowled, and this is just me coming off of the finals of the TAT where I had qualifying 6 on a pair, and we bowled 3 games on 6 on a pair. And honestly, like, they didn't really break. I mean, maybe they broke down maybe like an hour to an hour and a half, like for the three games. You got 5 on a pair. I mean, it depends on how much practice that they're going to be throwing on that pair.
True, beforehand.
That we don't know. That we don't know.
True. Okay.
Look,
all right. Yeah. Listen, I'm just throwing my prediction out there, right?
Yeah.
Feel free to agree, disagree.
Okay.
That's all good. But I do see Simo coming out of that as the number 1 seed. Rob, in general, Rob, I'm looking forward to the shows. I hope in some way Fox Bet opens it up and the Corp is able to get some action here. Jimmy was asking us what our odds would be. I didn't really have too much problem with the odds that they put out. I think that they're really underestimating Dick Allen here, plus 1,100, considering that the next highest odds player is Tom Smallwood at plus 500. I'd probably have Dick Allen probably like plus 700, maybe 750 if Tom Smallwood is 500 and the other players are 2. So if I'm betting here, I'm definitely focusing, and this does not reflect my feeling of who the favorite is to win. I'm saying this based on the odds and where the best bets are. I would definitely have my money on Smallwood and Dick Allen if I was betting on this, no question.
Yeah, I saw an Instagram post from Kyle Troop today, actually, of him like throwing a new ball release. Dude, he's throwing the ball so good right now. I mean, everything about his game looks so solid right now, and on a high scoring pattern, like he's you got to talk about him a little bit too, Mike. This is such a strong 5.
Would anybody be surprised to see 2 two-handers in the final here?
No, I
wouldn't. I mean, not on this high scoring pattern. I wouldn't be surprised by that one bit. Yeah.
So this is why this show is such a great 2 days, because there isn't really an odds-on favorite to win. Really,
right.
To me, all 5 bowlers could be even money. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's really no underdogs, to be honest with you. Like, all 5 have a legitimate shot to win this tournament. And I don't think usually when we, watch shows or whatever. Usually we could always talk about how someone is is probably going to win, or this and that, and we'll see. But yeah, the seeding round is going to tell a whole lot about what's going on, which is why
I would be surprised. I would be surprised. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would be surprised too if I didn't see one of at least the 2 two-handers in the final. Anyway, so Mike.
Worst of the week, Rob.
Worst of the week. And it's funny, there should only be one post that wins this week.
Yeah, do we have the same one?
Yeah, because I tagged you, and then somebody tagged me, and then 5 people tagged you, and then the whole thing was the same post. But I can't find the original post. I think they might have taken it down.
I got it.
You got Tim Buck's post? Is that with the no tap?
Yeah. Of course.
All right. So I think there's a mutual agreement on who won worst of the week.
Okay. So listen, what an honor to have a unanimous worst of the week win, right?
Yeah.
So worst of the week. Go ahead. Proper introduction. Sorry.
I love that. I always laugh. I was a big Looney Tunes fan when I was a kid.
So Robert, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. It's not Tim Buck this week.
He is the Hall of Famer, though.
Our worst of the week this week, a unanimous decision. Congratulations to Bert Hubbard.
Congrats, Bert.
Hubbard.
Seriously,
Bert, congrats. Okay, unanimous.
Bert.
The first unanimous worst of the week. Okay. The first unanimous one, okay?
Dude, this is a high. This is, if you see Bert, you need to literally shake his hand, give him a hug, and congratulate him, and maybe invite him on. We'll have him on because this one's a good one.
So this is from the USBC Bowlers Discussion Forum.
Gift that keeps on giving, Mike.
The dumpster
and
that
Lucas
always
Wiseman,
keeps on giving.
I sit through the whole show just for worst of the week.
I hear you.
Sometimes I just want Mike to shut up so we can get to worst of the week. So
I hear you. Understood. So here's the post. Okay, I have a question. If someone bowls in a no-tap tournament and they bowl a 300, would that still count as a 300 even though they were not all natural strikes?
Dude,
this is where we're at, bro.
That's worst of the year, Mike.
This is where we're at.
Mike. Keep that for worst of the year, because when this year runs out, we're gonna go through them and we're gonna pick a worst of the year post.
No, but it's terrible because it reflects the lack of knowledge that there is out there about. But now listen, I gotta give an honorable mention. I have to give an honorable mention this week. Not to say that there's anything so bad about these posts, but there's this woman, Amy Liz, on the USBC discussion forum. And apparently she thinks that all high school bowling is run the same way through the USB, because she keeps coming on the USBC site and asking like specific questions about high school bowling in whatever area she's in. Like the one question she asked is, if a team does not place in the top 3 in sectionals to advance to districts, is their bowling season over? Like why are you posting that? Special shout, special mention to
can we award a worst poster of the year, like of the week?
Well, I like John Stevenson's idea here in the chat. Maybe a bracket for the end of the year. Bracket of the worst posts. We put the worst post up against each other and come up with a final worst post. That would be great.
Dude, hands down though. Hands down, this is the worst post of the year so far.
I don't know about that.
No tap? Like, that's a legit. That sounds like a troll question to me, Mike. There's no way this person could be serious posting that.
Oh no, the lack of knowledge in the bowling community is that bad. There's no question that it's much worse than that, actually.
Oh, and I was dying though. Like as soon as I saw that post, we saw at the same time because I tagged you and I think you tagged me, and then like somebody else tagged somebody else, and it was so exciting. Like I was so excited to see that post. I'm like, yes, I don't have to really, work too hard. We never really work too hard finding these posts because there's usually the first thing you see when you wake up and you check the message board.
True.
Anyway,
true.
So that wraps up our worst of the week. Unanimous first ever, Brett Hubbard. Congrats, brother. Your worst of the week.
Got to be pretty good to be unanimous. All right, Rob. It was overtime tonight.
Yeah,
we knew.
Bit.
I told the people it was going to go into overtime tonight before we even started. So, but listen, it calls for it. It's a huge weekend for bowling. Position round on Saturday, 4 p.m. Flow Bowling. Finals, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Sunday. Sweep the Rack, live broadcast, Sunday, starting at 12 p.m. Pre-show, we're going to have our guy PJ Haggerty on, Rob. We're going to be talking some odds, talking some betting. Perhaps the Corp will have some money in by then, maybe, if we're lucky. So we'll talk about that. We got several guests planned to roll through as we do our commentary, right, and watch the show. And again, just so people know what we're going for here is people are watching the show at home, right, Rob? They have it on mute. We are watching the show at home, you and I, and we are broadcasting on here while we're watching the show, right, all together. And me and you will kind of be doing commentary on the show, giving our thoughts. And like I said, we'll bring some special guests through. I'm going to have some food prepared. Okay, so I'll get to share some of my culinary experiences with everybody.
I'm sure everyone's going to want to tune in to see Mike's, Simo meatballs or whatever you're thinking of.
Okay, so we'll have that going on, and yeah, man. Listen, it's going to be a great weekend for bowling. I'm excited about it. I'm hyped up. $250,000 on the line, and I'm really excited to see what happens and who comes out on top here, Rob.
Yeah, this will be the first time I'll watch the show on mute, and it'll probably not be the last time I watch it on mute. Especially if someone's chasing 300. The helicopters, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hope to provide the people with enough entertainment during the show that maybe watching Sweep the Rack becomes a regular thing when you're watching a live bowling show.
Yeah, maybe they'll put us on the show and they'll kick Randy and Rob off, and then
not gonna happen.
Yeah,
not gonna happen.
I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah,
anyway,
so Rob, we'll talk to the people again on Sunday. Correct.
Yes. Correct.
Social media at Sweep the Rack on all platforms. Hit us up at email sweeptherack@gmail. He's at Brooklyn Rob. I'm at 215. Brooklyn Rob 11. I am.
Forget the 11, Mike.
I am at the 215 on Twitter. Follow us on there. We're active on there. And Rob, we'll see the people on Sunday, man.
All right, guys. Take care. Have a good rest of your week, everyone.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast.